Okay, let's unpack this. Welcome to a deep dive into what's genuinely shifting for life on the road right now. We've pulled together a really interesting stack of sources today, articles covering everything from unexpected places where new trucking businesses are popping up, some potentially big changes coming from the FMCSA,
Yeah.
the latest on truck tech and equipment, a wild story about a law enforcement bust that has ripple effects for everyone, and, well, some truly valuable ideas on how to build your future beyond just the daily haul.
Yeah. And our goal here isn't just to, read you the headlines. It's about connecting the dots across all these different pieces of information you've shared.
Mm-hmm.
What are the crucial insights hiding in plain sight? What does it all mean for your actual day-to-day work, your long-term plans? It's that idea Hervey from Life as a Trucker talks about, really seeing these issues from all possible angles.
Exactly. We want to take these developments, explore those different viewpoints, the optimistic takes, the skeptical ones, the perspective from the big fleets versus the owner ops, and make it personal. How does this connect back to your experience? And critically, how do we move past just talking about the challenges to highlighting real opportunities for growth, security, and honestly, feeling respected and supported in an industry that's always changing?
Let's jump in then. Where do we start?
First up, this article titled Boomtowns with Big Rigs. It really caught my eye. When you think about new trucking companies starting up, you automatically picture the huge logistics hubs, right? Dallas, Atlanta, Chicago, places absolutely saturated with freight traffic.
Totally. Those are the traditional gravity centers.
Where
If you wanted to start a fleet, that's where you'd plant your flag, or so
Yeah.
we thought.
But this data, pulling from freight waves and FMCSA filings for new motor carrier authorities, that's basically, registering a new trucking business, shows the surge in new companies, isn't coming from those usual suspects right now.
What's genuinely surprising is where the growth is happening. We're seeing significant spikes in places like Fresno, California, and Laredo, Texas. Even Stockton, California is climbing the charts. We're talking about double-digit percentage increases in new filings in specific ZIP codes within these areas compared to last year.
Double digits. Meanwhile, Dallas, Atlanta, Chicago. They're stable, sure, but they're not driving this particular wave of new business creation. So the big question the article explores is, why these places? Why Fresno? Why Laredo?
Well, if you look closer, it starts to make sense. Fresno sits right there in the Central Valley of California. That means massive agricultural freight moving constantly. But it's also rapidly evolving into a major hub for warehousing and e-commerce distribution. While California has its challenges, like, fuel costs and regulations, the sheer volume of freight demand in that region is attracting new ventures.
Right. And Laredo, of course, is all about the border.
Precisely. It's the busiest inland port between the U.S. and Mexico. There's huge demand for cross-border logistics. The article points out that this creates a specific opportunity for drivers and owner-operators who have bilingual skills and real expertise in navigating the complexities of cross-border operations. It's a local advantage that's driving entrepreneurship there.
And the article mentions something else these non-traditional boomtowns often have in common compared to the megacities, like cost.
A lower cost of living, yeah, that can translate directly into lower startup costs for someone trying to get a new trucking business off the ground. It can also sometimes mean easier DOT compliance in less congested areas, and importantly, clear, growing local customer demand that isn't already swallowed up by dozens of established giants.
Okay, so there are solid strategic reasons, but who exactly is filing these new MCs? Is it outside money pouring in, or is it the people already on the road?
That's a critical point the source clarifies. This surge isn't primarily outside investment. It's largely people already within the industry. We're talking experienced company drivers who are making the leap to become owner-operators, immigrant entrepreneurs building regional fleets, often leveraging specific market knowledge like cross-border, existing owner-operators expanding their operations, and family teams growing their business by adding new authorities. These are folks who know the life and the work.
That feels important. It's grassroots growth, largely. And the article really digs into those multiple viewpoints on this trend, which is key to seeing the whole picture. What are the optimists saying?
The optimists are calling this the democratization of trucking. They see it as proof that the opportunity isn't just in the hands of the big guys. With smart regional focus and hustle, they believe anyone can get in and make good money, capitalizing on these decentralized freight lanes.
But the skeptics, they're pumping the brakes a bit.
Naturally. The skeptics warn that getting an MC authority is just scratching the surface. Running a profitable, sustainable business is a whole different ballgame. They worry that many new entrants might lack the necessary business acumen or capital reserves, and are jumping into what is still a very challenging, often saturated market, despite the new filings.
And both viewpoints have merit, don't they? So bringing this back to you, the driver or owner-operator listening, why does this matter beyond just interesting statistics?
It matters because it clearly shows that freight demand isn't static, it's decentralizing. Opportunities are popping up and growing significantly in regional markets. If you've been building knowledge of your local area, your local customers, those regional routes, that expertise is incredibly valuable right now. It also underlines that while entrepreneurship is alive and well in trucking, success, as the skeptics remind us, absolutely requires smart planning, sound financials, and a solid business strategy, not just hope.
That perspective is really useful. Okay, let's shift gears from market trends to something that impacts how you interact with the system specifically, the FMCSA complaint process. Our second source digs into this.
Yes, this is about the National Consumer Complaint Database, or NCCDB. It's the official online channel where people, drivers, shippers, brokers, are supposed to report issues. Things ranging from carriers operating unsafe equipment to brokers who stiff them on payment, or instances of fraud or even harassment.
And let's be honest, the article doesn't pull punches about the common perception of this system. It's often felt clunky, outdated, and slow, right? With the article describing it as a digital black hole where complaints go in and, well, nothing seems to come out.
Which is why the FMCSA's current action is significant. They're not just tweaking the system, they are undertaking a major revamp. And this is the crucial part for you listening. They are actively soliciting public input. They want to know what types of complaints you think are most important to track, how easy or difficult the current system is for you to use, what features a new system must have, and how complaints should be tracked, verified, and escalated more effectively.
So they're actually saying, okay, tell us what's broken and how we fix it. Why does this potential overhaul of the complaint system matter specifically for truckers? What's the upside?
Well, drawing from the source, a properly functioning system could be a powerful tool. It could help legitimate carriers and owner-operators flag and report brokers who consistently delay or refuse payment, a huge and ongoing problem, as you know. It could give company drivers a safer way to report unsafe practices they're pressured into or instances of harassment without immediately fearing retaliation from their employer. Ultimately, by creating a clearer record and triggering investigations, it could help weed out repeat offenders and bad actors across the industry. Clean things up a bit.
This is another area where seeing from all angles is key. What do the optimists hope this revamp will achieve?
The optimists believe this is a genuine opportunity for the FMCSA to become more responsive and accountable. They hope it will finally provide real protection for the good actors who play by the rules and lead to greater transparency about who the problematic players are in the industry.
And the cynics? What's their take? Still feeling like it's just window dressing?
The cynics, understandably, are skeptical based on past experiences. They point out that the agency has asked for input before without dramatic improvements. They question whether simply collecting complaints means anything if there isn't consistent, timely enforcement and real consequences for violators. Is this a real effort or just, a PR exercise?
That's a valid concern, and it highlights the need for more than just a new website. The source also lists what truckers themselves actually want from a system like this. What are those key requests?
The feedback highlights practical needs. The ability to actually track the status of a complaint after it's filed, confirmed follow-ups from the agency.
Yeah, knowing someone actually looked at it.
Exactly. And a public database or record of repeat offenders so the industry can see who's causing problems. Investigations that are actually fast-tracked for serious issues like safety violations or non-payment. And crucially, clear, meaningful penalties for companies and brokers who break the rules, especially regarding payment practices. Real teeth.
So, knowing the history, is it even worth taking the time to provide input? Is it just shouting into the void?
Well, think of it this way. This is a rare, direct invitation to shape a system that affects your ability to report unfair, unsafe, or illegal practices you encounter on the job. Whether the FMCSA follows through completely is, on them, but putting your perspective detailing what works, what doesn't, and what's needed is on you. Your experience on the road is valuable, and speaking up, even if the outcome isn't guaranteed, provides the real-world feedback the agency claims it wants. It's part of managing your relationship with the system, even when it's frustrating.
That's a solid point. Okay, moving on. Let's talk about the constant evolution of equipment and technology. We pulled insights from a fleet owner piece and an article specifically on transport refrigeration units, or TRUs.
Right. The fleet owner article covered a wide range. touching on trends in private fleets, reviews of new heavy-duty trucks, and advancements in route optimization tech.
It sounds like a lot, but there are some interesting nuggets. For instance, the Private Fleet 500 rankings showed giants like Walmart, Kroger, and Amazon leveraging technology, and also highlighted how regional players are effectively competing, partly by using advanced routing tech.
And the reviews of new trucks give you a sense of what's coming down the pipeline. They looked at things like updates to the Freightliner Cascadia's interior, describing it as more of a cockpit than a prison, which is quite the description.
Yeah.
And the reality of electric trucks, like the Volvo VNR Electric, noting its suitability for regional hauls, but confirming that range anxiety is real for longer routes. It's still a factor. They also touched on electric startups like Nikola and Tesla, frankly describing them as still flashy, still not widespread, or giving the classic industry nod, nice prototype, bro.
That kind of candid feedback is gold. And beyond the trucks themselves, the fleet owner piece discussed how route optimization is evolving past basic GPS.
Exactly. We're talking about AI and predictive routing tools now. They're designed to do more than just find the shortest path. They factor in things like avoiding areas predicted to have bad weather, optimizing routes based on current and forecast fuel prices, and even trying to steer you away from known troublesome areas for overnight parking, as the article notes.
So trying to be smarter than just A to B.
Right. Apps like Samsara, Omnitrax, and Keep Truckin' are mentioned as players in this space.
Okay, so that's the general tech picture. Now layer in the specific context from the Reefer Madness 2.0 article about TRU's transport refrigeration units. This sounds complicated.
It is. This is a significant regulatory impact, especially if you run California routes. California's Air Resources Board, or CARB, is cracking down hard on emissions from reefer units. New rules now require new trailers and shipping containers sold in California to have electric shore power capability, basically a plug. By 2029, all new TRUs must meet zero-emission standards, and existing diesel units face a 15-year service life cap.
So even if you have a diesel reefer, if the trailer is new and headed into California, it needs that electric plug. Like right now.
That's the rule for new equipment now. The idea is that when the trailer is sitting at a dock or in a yard, instead of idling the diesel engine, you plug it into the grid to run the reefer electrically. Cuts down emissions, saves fuel.
But the article points out the elephant in the room, the infrastructure isn't ready. Where do you plug all these things in?
That's the major challenge. The vast majority of warehouses, distribution centers, and cold storage facilities simply do not have the necessary electrical outlets at their docks or in their yards to support all these units plugging in simultaneously. This creates a huge burden, requiring massive infrastructure investment from shippers and fleets, costs that will inevitably affect rates and operations for everyone. It's a real pinch point.
This whole tech and equipment landscape, especially with the regulatory angle, is another place where those multiple viewpoints clash. What are the takes here?
The fleet owner piece captured the split well. Fleet managers are optimistic about new tech, like smart routing, saving money on fuel, and potentially helping retain drivers by making dispatch more efficient. But the drivers quoted point out that their real-world experience, their knowledge of road conditions, traffic, and finding safe spots often still beats what the system suggests.
Yeah, the computer doesn't always know best.
Exactly. And they make the valid point that maybe fleets should invest as much in driver pay and in improving facilities as they do in the shiny new tech.
Hard to argue with that logic. And on the reefer side, similar divide.
You see a divide too. Some drivers and owner-operators see the move to hybrid or electric TRUs as forward-thinking. It saves fuel, ensures compliance in California, and could be seen as future-proofing, getting ahead of the curve. But many others have serious concerns. The cost is high, the reliability of newer, more complex tech on critical cold chain loads is unproven for many.
Right, you can't afford a breakdown with perishables.
No way. And there's a fundamental question of the return on investment for smaller operators, and of course the massive headache of the missing infrastructure. It echoes the "if it ain't broke, don't fix it" sentiment when a well-maintained diesel unit is reliable.
And the article notes that big fleets and small fleets are approaching this very differently. Makes sense.
Absolutely. Big fleets often have the capital, access to incentives, and scale to absorb the cost and complexity of new tech and regulations, like CARB. They're leaning into it, sometimes reluctantly, but they're doing it. Smaller fleets and owner-operators are generally more cautious, often taking a wait-and-see approach because the cost, infrastructure issues, and potential reliability concerns are much higher stakes for their business.
So whether you drive for a big fleet or you're an owner-op, these changes are coming and require your attention, right? Understanding the tech, the rules, potential investments.
Definitely. You need to be aware of how it affects your job or your business decisions moving forward.
All right, let's turn to a topic that's less about industry trends and more about the unfortunate reality of how bad actors can negatively impact everyone. The cross-border smuggling bust reported in the Nine Busted article.
Yeah, this is a really frustrating situation for the vast majority of honest truckers out there. It's infuriating, really. This article details how the RCMP in Canada and U.S. agencies collaborated to bust a significant cocaine smuggling operation. And the key thing, they were using legitimate U.S.-Canada trucking routes, hiding large quantities of drugs within standard commercial loads. 9 people were arrested, including drivers and coordinators involved in the ring.
And the most critical takeaway from this story, straight from the source, is the direct consequence for every single honest driver. It's not just about the criminals.
That's it. That's the harsh reality. When a few bad apples exploit the system like this, everyone pays a price. The article warns that you should brace for longer border inspections, increased scrutiny, more random and intensive cargo scans, and unfortunately, potentially feeling like you're treated as guilty until proven clean at the border. This is particularly true if you run U.S.-Canada lanes or operate through areas like Ontario that were highlighted in the investigation.
The reaction within the trucking industry, as reported, is completely understandable, just pure frustration.
Absolutely. Honest drivers are incredibly frustrated. They feel like their professionalism and trustworthiness are undermined by these criminal acts, and it directly translates into lost hours, delays, and added hassle at the border. Time is money, right?
Always.
Fleets are reacting to, according to the article, tightening internal security policies, increasing pre-trip and post-trip inspection requirements, enhancing tracking. And some are even looking into providing specific training to help drivers recognize potential red flags and avoid being unknowingly involved in something illegal.
And law enforcement's perspective from the article is clear. Smugglers are sophisticated. They leverage legitimate means to blend in, which is why they need drivers to be vigilant, fleets to vet carefully, and why law enforcement has to increase their scrutiny across the board. It's a tough spot.
This brings up a vital point for you personally. How do you protect yourself in this environment? What can you actually do?
The source offers practical, direct advice. Make checking your trailer and load a serious part of your routine, especially on cross-border runs. Don't just glance, really look. Know exactly what you're hauling and who you're hauling it for. Don't accept loads that seem suspicious or where paperwork doesn't add up. Trust that gut feeling.
Yeah, that gut feeling is important.
And crucially, if something feels off, someone is acting strangely around your trailer, or you're pressured to pick up a load under weird circumstances, trust your gut. The article's message is, if it feels shady, it likely is shady, and you need to say something. Your CDL is your livelihood. It's not worth risking for anything or anyone.
This isn't about fostering paranoia, It's about being informed and proactive. It's about protecting your own safety, your career, and your ability to earn a living. It reinforces that fundamental need to stay sharp and maintain a spotless record in an industry where external factors can have serious consequences.
So, when we look at everything we've covered, the shifting landscape of where freight is moving and who's hauling it, the FMCSA potentially revamping a critical system, the arrival of new tech and regulations with their own headaches and opportunities,
Right.
and the unfortunate reality of how criminal activity forces increase scrutiny on everyone, it's clear there are a lot of external forces impacting your time, your income, and your peace of mind on the road.
And this connects directly to the core message of our final source. With all this volatility and these external pressures, there's a really strong case to be made for truckers to proactively think about their future and build personal resilience beyond just the job itself.
This is where the idea of managing your time comes in, but not just for the shipper or the dispatch office. It's about managing your off-duty time, using it wisely, and investing it in yourself and your own security. Getting something back for that time.
That's the essence of what the source discusses. Exploring ways for truckers to build additional recurring streams of online income. The idea presented is leveraging new tools, even something like AI, which sounds maybe intimidating, but using it to create these opportunities.
Using AI for online income. For a trucker, how does that specifically help someone out on the road? Break that down a bit.
The why is about creating a financial shield, as the source explains. Income streams that aren't directly tied to the fluctuation of freight rates, the economy, or the stability of a single trucking company. This extra income could provide cushion during market downturns, make it possible to retire when you choose, not when the industry dictates,
Right, on your own terms.
and soften the blow significantly if, say, a company goes under or you face unexpected downtime. It's about diversifying your income base beyond just driving, building another leg for the stool.
It sounds like a way to take some of that control back into your own hands, regardless of the external pressures. That feeling of respect and support we mentioned earlier, maybe building it for yourself.
Exactly. The source mentions resources like Life as Trucker and Retire from Trucking as examples of entities committed to helping truckers explore these avenues. They offer guidance and training, like free guides on retirement planning, and specifics on using tools like AI for income generation, aiming to provide practical support for drivers looking to build financial independence.
This is the part that feels empowering. Despite all the industry challenges we've discussed, from surprise boomtowns to reefer regulations and border hassles, there are tangible steps you can take. By consciously investing some of your time in building new skills or creating independent income streams, you can enhance your security and gain more control over your financial future. It's an acknowledgement of the hard work truckers do every day, and an offer of practical paths to build resilience, reinforcing that vital sense of being respected and supported by having options.
It's about recognizing that while you're navigating everything the industry throws at you, you also have the agency to proactively shape your own destiny and build a safety net. You're not just reacting.
Absolutely. So, reflecting on this deep dive, we've seen how the industry landscape is shifting in unexpected ways, with new freight hubs popping up in places like Fresno and Laredo. We've looked at how you might have a chance to influence regulatory systems, like the FMCSA's complaint portal. Make your voice heard, hopefully. We've explored the dual nature of new tech and rules, bringing both potential efficiencies and definite headaches, like that whole reefer infrastructure challenge in California.
Big challenge.
And we've highlighted the unfortunate but necessary vigilance required due to the actions of a few bad actors, impacting everyone at the border.
And linking all these external forces, we've discussed the crucial internal response. The power of taking control of your own time and future by building skills and diversifying your income. Seeing things from all angles means understanding the challenges, yes, but also recognizing your own capacity to build resilience and plan for life on your terms.
This leaves us with a question for you to consider this week, drawing on everything we've discussed about the external pressures and the internal power. Given all the forces shaping the industry right now, what is one specific, concrete action you can take, just one thing this week, to invest some of your off-duty time in securing your own future, building something independent of the daily grind on the road?
Think about it. What's that one step?
Thanks for diving deep with us.